Hey, what's up, zoners, and welcome to the earliest waiver wire show on the planet. Today, I'm going to be going over all of the players I think you should pick up on your waiver wire and how much you should spend on them. Last season, we were sitting here telling you to pick up Puka Nacua for $25. By the end of that night, man, I was spending $70 on the toilet 2 a.m., man. That's how this stuff goes. There is one player on here that I might tell you to push it up as the day goes on. And I am doing this at the halftime of the afternoon games, all right? So some of these players will have to be added on in the comments. And this is a group effort, man. I need your help. If you've got players that should be on this list, please comment down below. I have all my notes typed out, man, typed out right now. I'm going to share that with you. You got to hold on for 7 seconds, though. All right, man, let's start off with the running backs. I pushed this guy super hard last year, Tank Bigsby. He's only 4.6% owned. I'm willing to spend $10 on him. I am an ETN owner. Holy shit, dude. 12 rushes for 73 yards. Week 1 versus Miami. ETN had 12 rushes for 44 yards, but he got that touchdown. Tank Bigsby looked like the better runner last year, but it never came to fruition throughout the season. Not a good start, dude, for ETN right now. Had the same amount of negative point fantasy games, too, last season, as he had games with 3+ fantasy points. So he had a terrible year last year. They are hosting Cleveland week 2, and I'm watching this game right now, dude, allowing Zeke 4.6 yards per carry and a touchdown. This is kind of that Zeke role right now for Jacksonville. $10, man. Next up, Jaleel McLaughlin, 44.5% owned. I'd spend $5 on him. I'm waiting for somebody to fill that Reggie Bush role, and right now he has the same amount of touches as Javonte, 8, heading into halftime week 1 versus Seattle. 2 games of 18+ fantasy points in 2023. I was pushing him hard on my waiver wire show last season. And, dude, he has some high upside here. He was an undrafted free agent. They are hosting Pittsburgh week 2 next week, and they gave up 15 points to Bijan and 7 yards per carry to Tyler Algier week 1. So that is kind of a bad matchup, dude. Pittsburgh defense actually looked pretty good watching them live, I guess. Free TV, baby. Next up, Justice Hill, 3.4% owned. $1 I would spend on him because Derrick Henry is the man, and that was a fluke game. They will not be playing from behind maybe 95% of the season. But when they do, he is the running back for them. He had 8 targets, 52 yards at Kansas City week 1. Only had 1 game with over 9 fantasy points in 2023 when they were just beating up on everybody. So do not expect this to happen still. But if they are playing from behind, if you feel like they're going to play from behind, flex option there. Hosting Las Vegas next week. They're not going to be playing from behind. They are holding JK and Gus to under 2 yards per carry. Go pick up Kamani Vidal. He's not on this list. I got to see him do something before I put him on this list. Last up for the running backs, Carson Steele, 2.2% owned. I'd spend $1 on him. I thought he was going to be playing a lot more fullback this last game. He just kind of got in, when Isaiah Pacheco was tired, dude. But I said this. Isaiah Pacheco going around the corner, dude. He's really good going up the gut, on end rounds or whatever. He gets caught by a defensive lineman that fell down in the first place, dude. He is the slowest man alive. There is a role in this offense for a Carson Steele. And, but P. Ryan was involved as well. So $1 only, okay? Pacheco had 17 touches. P. Ryan had 2 targets. They're hosting Cincinnati week 2. They gave up 120 yards and a touchdown to Ramondre Stevenson. And Ramondre Stevenson, I've been telling you he's going to break out all summer long. Thank you very much. Anyways, dude, on to the wide receivers. Okay, we're only going over players that are 50% owned or less. Khalil Shakir, 49.9% owned. So this is the last week on this list. I spent $15 on him, dude. Keon Coleman did get 5 targets, led the team. He had 3, but Khalil Shakir is getting some of that red zone action, man. 3 targets for 42 yards and a touchdown versus Arizona. Somebody on this team is going to break out eventually. It would not surprise me if it is Shakir. I do want Keon Coleman, but he is owned, all right? But for the waiver wire, if you can go pick up Shakir, man, play him in your flex, I think that's amazing. At Miami week 2, they held Kirk, the slot receiver, dude, Christian Kirk, who I've been pushing, to 1 reception for 30 yards, dude. Was Ramsey on him? I need to figure that out. I have not had the time. I've been doing this shit all day. And held T-Law to 162 yards passing week 1. So Miami pass defense is something that maybe we need to pay attention to. Rashid Shaheed. Everybody was talking about him breaking out, man. I talked so much shit about Derek Carr and that offense. Apparently, dude, I mean, do we think that Carolina might just be terrible week 1? That might be the case because it was a blowout game. There's not a lot to take out from here, but Rashid Shaheed was getting targets from the beginning, man. So $15 I'd spend on him because is he going to be the number 1 wide receiver in this offense? Today he was. 3 receptions on 5 targets, led the team in targets. For 73 yards, led the team in yards and had the touchdown week 1. Olave had 2 targets for 11 yards. All right. So what's going on there? The Panthers defense was just like, we're not letting Olave beat us. Blowout game. They are at Dallas week 2, holding Deshaun Watson to 33 passing yards in the first half. Deshaun Watson, dude, holy shit. I think it's a mix of him being terrible and Dallas defense playing well again. Next up, dude, Andre Yoshivas. I've been pushing him for a month and a half. 5.5%. This was a hugely disappointing game for me. I thought Joe Burrow would tear New England up. Dude, New England held them down. And Chase still had his good timing with Burrow, man. Six receptions on 6 targets. So it was not like they were not on the same page. But Yoshivas, 3 receptions on 6 targets. So he tied Chase for the team lead in targets. Only had 26 yards, dude. But if you're telling me that Higgins is going to have a hamstring injury and that Yoshivas is the wide receiver 2 there, we're talking wide receiver 2 to flex every single week for Yoshivas. If Joe Burrow gets rolling, man, I think that this is going to be an outlier game for them. They're at Kansas City week 2. Kansas City just held Zay Flowers at 37 yards on 10 targets. Bateman, their wide receiver 2, had 52 yards on 2 receptions, but and likely went nuclear. But man, Kansas City defense looked pretty good. So not a great matchup next week. Next up, dude, somebody just dropped him, and it took me so much not to pick him up. But Adonai Mitchell, 33.6%. I'd spend $5 on him, and you're like, dude, Tyler, Alec Pierce was the guy that had 150 yards and a touchdown. So Adonai Mitchell only had 1 reception but he had 5 targets. So he did have more targets than Alec Pierce. All right. And that was all the training camp and Adonai Mitchell, 2nd round draft pick. Like, I don't know. I'm really looking for Adonai Mitchell to break out. I'm not really looking for, I've seen this Alec Pierce show before, even though this is his best game as a pro. But Alec Pierce did have a 60-yard touchdown this week. Well, he had a 55-yard touchdown and a 58-yard touchdown 2 times last year. And I kept on putting him on my show, or I kept on picking him up, and then he'd have terrible games. So I assume he's going to be inconsistent. I've seen this movie before. But maybe Alec Pierce is the guy to pick up. So either Adonai Mitchell or Alec Pierce, I think that you should pick him up. Adonai Mitchell they are both going to be at Green Bay week 2, and they allowed a touchdown and 120 yards to AJ, dude, and 7 receptions, 84 yards to Devonta. That is a good matchup for Adonai Mitchell, dude, and Anthony Richardson is actually throwing the damn ball. And then here we go, dude. Wan'Dale Robinson. I've been talking about him since I started him in a game where he got 8 targets in the first half and then went out injured. Well, 6.9% owned. I'd spend $5 on him. 6 receptions, man, on 12 targets. Malik Neighbors had like 6 or 7 targets. 7 targets. This fool almost had double that. Highs of 8 and 9 targets last year. Like I said, one of those was 8 in the first half. I've always been paying attention to this guy. At Washington week 2, Mike Evans and Godwin both have over 50 reception yards before halftime. Week 1, Evans with the touchdown. Washington gave up the most points ever, dude. The worst secondary in the league last year, and it looks like it's going to happen again. So target one of these Giants wide receivers next week if you're streaming. And then Greg Dortch, man, 1.6% owned. I keep on trying to forget about this guy because I love Michael Wilson. But, hey, I spent $1 on him. 6 receptions on 8 targets. 3rd most on the team. 47 yards, dude. That actually led the team. So he led the team in yards versus Buffalo today. Harrison Jr. had 3 targets for 4 yards. Go trade for Marvin Harrison Jr. to some, asshole that has no patience because this is going to take a minute. I really thought it was not going to be like this, dude, at all. Just like Caleb Williams, I thought it would be at least decent. But offenses looked terrible today. I text Jason, man, these offenses all look bad. Even Miami, dude, for the first half looked terrible. So give it a little bit of time. They are hosting the Rams next week. And the Rams allowed the 6th most points to wide receivers in 2023. So that is actually a good matchup. We'll see how they actually do. They're playing tonight, and then we can see what we really expect next week from them. Then Devon whatever, 0.1% owned. $1 on him. He has 3 targets at halftime. He actually had 3 targets right off the bat more than Cortland Sutton. He seems to be the wide receiver 2 behind Sutton in this offense. Mims not getting any targets. So we want the wide receiver 2 in this pass-happy Bo Nix offense. This guy's a 7th-round rookie. He will turn 27 years old. I'm still 11 years old in this fucker. I wish I was turning 27 in December, but still, dude. And we have to remember, Marquise Colston was wide receiver 15 his rookie year in 2006 with Sean Payton. So Sean Payton, man, and that was a super late round pick as well. I've been trying to get a big-bodied wide receiver here, and that's why I was all about Cortland Sutton filling up that Marquise Colston role. But they are hosting Pittsburgh in week 2, and they held Cousins to 155 yards, man, and no wide receiver had a good game for Atlanta. I was watching that. Dude, I'm telling you, Pittsburgh's defense actually looked really good. All right, on to the tight ends, and this is where we have our top waiver wire ad of the week. Isaiah Likely, man, helped people win championships last season, and he is picking up where he dropped off. 9.3% owned, $25 I would spend on him, 9 receptions on 12 targets for 111 yards with a touchdown at Kansas City week 1. He was on the field a lot of the same time as Mark Andrews. Let's see, Mark Andrews had a 72% route participation to Likely 69%. So this probably will continue, even though was Mark Andrews actually more injured than he led to believe after that car accident? That is the variable here that we have to think about. He had 2 receptions on 2 targets for 14 yards. I do not think that will continue. Just like I do not think that Isaiah Likely will get 12 targets in any other game this season. I think they will be playing from ahead, a lead, and with Derrick Henry and them running the ball more than anybody else, just like they did last season for most of the year, man. So this is going to be a fluke, but still, Isaiah Likely could probably be a flex as a tight end. I think he will be a top 10 tight end play most weeks heading forward, and that is huge, getting that off the waiver wire, man. So $25. They host Las Vegas week 2, and they're giving up the 19th most points to tight ends in 2023, 8.9 points per game. And then next up, I threw this guy in here, even though he's only got 1 reception on 1 target right now. Zach Ertz, man. Under 3% owned. I spent $1 on him. He was a top 5 tight end with Cliff Kingsbury and Kyler in 2021. Plus, he blocked less than 5% of the time. So he's going to be out there running a ton of routes in this offense. And remember, dude, he averaged 6 targets a game and kept McBride on the back burner for the Cardinals. So McBride did not break out until Zach Ertz left. They are hosting New York Giants week 2. And the Giants just got blown out by the Vikings, and the Vikings didn't have to throw. Oliver got 2 receptions for 27 yards. The Vikings tight end. So that is not a great matchup for anybody right now because they don't get to throw the ball. Probably going to be a lot of blowout games against the Giants. And then next up, Chig Okonkwo, 19.3% owned. For the Titans, we did not know what to expect from the Titans. 2 receptions on 2 targets for 15 yards. He did get that touchdown. Levis had 31 passing attempts. The high for last season was 23. So they are going to throw the ball a ton. DeAndre Hopkins is playing through a torn MCL or something. So this could be the wide receiver 2 option, the second receiving option for Will Levis, even though I really do not like Will Levis. But still, man, for getting a tight end off the waiver wire, not bad. They're hosting the Jets next week, and the Jets are giving up the 9th most points to tight ends in 2023. We'll see how they do this tonight against George Kittle. I think that's tomorrow night. And then here we go. Foster Moreau, dude, 0% owned. I'd spend $1 on him. 4 receptions on 4 targets, 3rd most for 43 yards and a touchdown. Carolina week 1. This is a huge outlier, but Derek Carr loves to throw to tight ends. This guy was on the Raiders with Derek Carr. Then he had blood cancer or something like that. A cancer survivor, fellow cancer survivor, bro. I still don't know where my left ball is, dude. Tell me where it is, doctors. Some basement locked up somewhere. Probably in somebody's lounge or the doctors. Anyways, we'll talk about that some other time. At Dallas, week 2, and they're holding Deshaun Watson to 33 passing yards at the half. That is not a great matchup. And he averaged, less than 2 targets a game and caught 1 touchdown last year. Juwan Johnson caught a touchdown as well. I do not know what to make out of this game, dude. Rashid Shaheed was the number 1 option here. And Olave was targeted twice with these tight ends getting a bunch of work. I think that this is going to be an outlier game. But Foster Moreau, number 1 tight end in this offense, is actually worth starting most weeks. And then here we go, dude. Last up, I've got one quarterback who hasn't even played yet, but I think it's a travesty. He is on the waiver wire. Matthew Stafford, 35.9% owned. $5 I spent on him. He was the quarterback too. Only Josh Allen scored more points than him weeks 12 through 16 last year. He was averaging 22 fantasy points a game when everybody was healthy. if Puka is healthy right now, dude, that is his upside, dude. Top 5-ish quarterback, and he is on your waiver wire. So go pick him up. And these are some players I'm just checking out right now. Emmanuel Wilson, Jordan Whittington, Luke McCaffrey, Jaleel McLaughlin. I already talked about Bucky, Jonnu, Dolchich, Maciek. All right, everybody, that is the show. Remember, comment down below with players that should be added to this list. I will be doing the same. Hopefully, I earned a thumbs up. Hopefully, I earned a subscription, man. Shout out to our Patreon subscribers, Harold Corman and Cart of Mario. Thank you so much. If you want to help us out, man, there's only one way. Well, subscribing and liking. Yeah, dude, that pushes us out, and that's what this show needs more than ever. So please do not forget to do that if you like the show. Don't lie to yourself here, people. And hey, $5 a month, man, if you want to see more of this. That's the only way we're never going to get away from our jobs. All right? So this is Tyler, Big Turd Ward, and I will be coming back with the, Smashes and Crashes, dude, tomorrow with Jason. And we've got our live drinking ranking shows every Friday. So come join that and ask us a ton of questions. Thanks for watching. We appreciate you.